of your favorite content creators and favorite people, honestly, you follow here on this app. Be a part of this amazing community called the Nerd Initiative.
The Nerd Initiative presents the Comic Press Podcast, hosted by JJ's Comic Stuff.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Comic Press Podcast here on the Nerd Initiative Network. I'm your host, JJ, or aka JJ's Comic Stuff. And we're gone for about a week. Had a lot of stuff going on here, but we are back. And today I've got a very special guest. Everybody, please welcome Nerdtooine, my good buddy from Crossover Comics, Nerd Initiative, all over the place. What's going on, man?
Oh, just another glorious day in nerd paradise. Listen, we were talking before about how things can get crazy. One minute everything's all good and just hanging out, and then it just bam, the proverbial caca hits the fan, and everything just goes crazy. So I definitely get that.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like for those of you who are not aware, my internet went out for a few days, and then I had a bunch of people in here working on drywall and doors, and now I've got painters coming next week, and it's been a whole thing. So I wasn't able to get the last episode out at all. That, and it didn't help that the guest kind of canceled on me, but we'll address that another time. But no, but you know how it is. But it's all good now. So we're back. We've got a good guest in here. I always have a good time when I'm talking to this dude.
Wow.
So for those of you, for those that don't know you, introduce yourself a little bit. Tell them kind of who you are, what you do, and how you got into this wonderful world of nerddom.
Well, so I'm Kyle, aka Nerdtooine. I'm all over every type of social media at this point. I got into being a nerd very young, cartoons, comic books, and then Star Wars. But during the pandemic, I came back to social media as Nerdtooine. Started a podcast. I'm now writing my own comic book. Go to conventions now. The pandemic really did change everything for me. And now I am this person that people know. Like I've been walking around conventions, people are like, oh my God, Nerdtooine? I'm like, just because of my voice, because they're used to seeing me on platforms everywhere. And it's like, oh my God, I'm not even famous. Like, you imagine what it'd be like to walk around all those things famous. I'm working on it.
Oh my goodness.
My comic book done.
But
No,
yeah,
I'm
just being at the Nerd Initiative booth at C2E2, like we have some bigger creators, and like people were walking up like, oh my God, it's so and so, and it's so and so, and I'm like, this is just so cool to see in real life. But if it was happening all day, every day, I could definitely see why celebrities flip out on paparazzi. From
when I was at a MegaCon this year, I actually walked around with the Escape Pod podcast boys. From TikTok, and like just literally we're just walking, trying to have a conversation about where like I'm taking them next, and then just people, oh my god, and would just jump in and be like, can we take a picture, please, and it's like, of course, yeah. I mean, like, it just because I think that the one good thing about content creators that got huge over the pandemic, the ones that like really wanted to be content creators, they just love interacting with anyone who watches their content. Like, genuinely, it's just like, oh my God, yes. It does get like, when it's literally like you said, every second, it does, get tiring, but at the same time, it's still just so like fulfilling. Like it's just constant validation of what you're doing. And I personally am hoping to get to that level one of these days.
We'll all get there eventually, man. But it is one of those things where it's like you almost have to do that, right? Because if your followers all of a sudden think you're, for lack of a better terms, a dick, then they're not going to keep watching your stuff, man. So like, it makes sense that if your followers recognize you enough to actually come up and want a picture and like want just a quick conversation with you, and you don't do that for them, it's a dick move.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you don't have time, so it's not like I just want to like I was walking with them, and like there was one time where this person just kept talking, and they weren't being rude or anything, but like we had to keep moving because they had 3 other stops. I had to get to this that. when at MegaCon this year, I was helping 2 separate booths. I had an exhibitor's pass, and I was literally manning a booth and walking these guys around, and it was like the difference between working a convention and attending a convention. It's like night and day.
So let's talk about that, because that was one of the big topics we wanted to cover today. Was, since it is convention season, it's probably a good, there you go. I've got a small collection building as well, like of just
my exhibitor badge.
Yeah, but it's definitely different. Like if you go as just a convention goer.
So hey, this one's got an interesting story. So this is like the first major convention I went to, right? Collecticon Orlando 2 years ago. I got the VIP pass and I met Vanilla Ice, but I actually also got brought up on stage when he was performing
cool.
Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go, and for the rest of his set, because I was in Casey Jones cosplay.
There it is.
It was one of the greatest experiences of I was literally behind a Ninja Turtle on stage with Vanilla Ice. Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go.
That's awesome.
I walked off stage in tears because I was just so happy. Like it was like almost a lifetime achievement I didn't know I wanted.
Right.
Yes,
a bucket list item you never knew you had.
But yeah, conventions, I mean, they're just I've taken pictures with like friends and everything, and my brother at conventions, and like family and friends look at the picture and be like, oh my God, look at that smile. You're actually happy. I'm like, yes. If you see me at a convention, that is my number one. I am the happiest the happiest version of Nerdtooine you will ever find is at a comic book, or they're not even really comic book conventions all that time that much anymore. It's really just a nerd convention. I mean, they do still have the smaller ones that are just comics or just cards, or whatever.
Yeah,
but
I'm going to one that's just comics later this year.
These things have evolved now to be more of a social gathering. With
100%.
All types of things now. I mean, with the creators, the movie people, voice actors. I mean, it's to be in the same room as some of these people. I mean, it's you may not even see them, but you just know they're there, and it has this the electricity is just in the air, because some of your favorite people you've ever like either watched or read or looked at their artwork is right where you are, and it's
and everyone's accessible.
So good, yes,
to an extent. Now, if you're talking like C2E2 had Chris Evans, you're not just going to be able to walk up to Chris Evans. That doesn't happen.
Well, let's see, and at MegaCon they had Anakin. I'm drawing a blank of his name. Hayden Christensen. He wasn't even in the same building. He had his own like the only time he did do a panel, but for the most part he was secluded off on his own in a different part of the convention center. Just because he's Hayden Christensen. You know what I mean?
Well,
because it's
unfortunately someone that famous can't just walk through a crowd at a convention. I mean, they'll bring the entire convention to a halt.
Jason Momoa has done that a couple times, because what he likes to do is he likes to walk around conventions and see if there's any artwork that people have done of either him as Aquaman or him as just him. And he will literally be like, hey, can I sign this for you? And he will just walk up and sign it for nothing and just walk away, which instantly makes that piece worth a million times more. Like, yeah, he's probably the best with out of the super huge ones. Like he wants to be around his fans and just the like, cause he likes the environment. Like he's like Andrew Garfield, going around in a Spider-Man mask,
just so he could go to Comic-Con and no one actually knows.
Did you
it's
hear
him,
the recent thing that Charlie Cox did? Like Charlie Cox went around a convention wearing a Daredevil costume, and then he would go find people who were in either Daredevil cosplay or like Kingpin or whatever, and he would go up to them like, hey, can we take a picture? And then when they go to take the picture with their phone, he'd take off his mask,
do
the picture, put the mask back on, and walk away. So then you
can't stick around after doing that.
And then they would be like, oh my God,
yeah,
it was
you can't
Charlie
stick around
Cox
after you do that.
Oh
you
my
have
God,
to just walk away.
Yeah, that and the people like that are like some of the best things. Like Katie Sackhoff, for instance, like C2E2 and MegaCon were booked on the same weekend this year. So of course, someone like Katie Sackhoff, who is in The Mandalorian and voice actor the Clone Wars, Battlestar Galactica, big time. They wanted her at both. So Thursday she was at MegaCon, and her and Ashley Eckstein stayed at MegaCon because it closed at 9, I think, on Thursday. They stayed till 11:30, signing and doing every single picture, photo op, and signature that was booked, and then went right to C2E2. Like,
I was gonna say, because she came to C2E2 on Saturday, like she was scheduled to. Like,
yep.
And that's a flight in one night, man.
They
you go from what was that, Miami, right, or was it outside of Tampa?
Orlando. It's Orlando.
Orlando, got you.
Yeah.
But man, Orlando to Chicago, that's a flight, man.
Didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
There are some people who would be like, "Well, I'm booked until 9. I'm leaving. Goodbye." But no, like
she had
a lot
hop
of these
on a plane immediately, basically, and just
immediately they both hopped. I think it was the same plane too. I think because they were being flown up by the C2E2 people. Like, just get on the plane. We need you here. Like,
right.
And like some of these creators, man, and actors and everyone, they're just so amazing. Like Sam Raimi, like he took the time to get every single person's name. Like I got a photo op. Hold on, where's my? Like I got a photo op.
Oh, that's so cool.
With Sam Raimi. All right. I walked up. He said, "Your name? Kyle. Kyle, nice to meet you." And then he looked at me and I went like this. Because he had like, "What do you want to do?" And I immediately went in. He jumped right in and did and then like he's like, "Thank you so much." I like just thanked me, and then I walked out. And man, I did 3 photo ops at MegaCon. I did that. I did McAvoy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And my personal favorite.
Oh yeah, come on, it's John Bernthal.
With John Bernthal, like, so the people in front of me, they flicked off the camera like I did. So I did that. I was like, screw that. That's an awesome picture. Then he never smiled. So I know it would get like a decent like picture out of that. And then apparently he didn't do it. And he like pushed his, like the curtain back. Hey, come back. He's like, "I didn't know you want to flip off the camera. Let's do this." And then we redid the picture. And then that's the one I got. And, I love ups, but I actually missed one that I booked first. And the one I wanted the most because I was helping someone's booth and I messed the times up in my head. So I was supposed to meet Rosario Dawson.
Ah, that sucks.
So when I didn't make it to the Rosario Dawson, I then switched that to McAvoy and Sam Raimi because I can make those. Right. But like, man, like I would definitely say, it's a good experience. I like the fact that now I have those pictures, because like all my friends who go to conventions, they have at least one of those, you know what I mean? Like whether it's just like some random celebrity, it's just eventually you get one of those. So I'm glad to have them now with some people I really respect and love. But I think from here on out, for the most part, I'm just gonna do signatures. Because like when you do a signature, you at least get the time where they're signing that you can have a brief conversation. When you're doing these photo ops, it's literally, all right, line, take off all your stuff, put your phones away. All right, stand here, click, move out that way. You don't even get to say much of anything at all.
It feels very industrialized.
Yes. And again, I'm not complaining at all. I'm just saying, like, if I'm going to go biggest bang for my buck. How many
hundreds of people do they take a picture with every day at those things?
Like, and I'm not faulting them. That's what you have to do. Like, it's impossible to do anything else but that. You got, like you said, thousands of people in line waiting to meet this person, unless it's a meet and greet, which is a completely separate thing.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's like a laid back thing. You're like in a room with them. You're all hanging out, like eating pizza or something. And like,
yeah, that's completely different. But in just a regular photo op, man, from now on, I'm probably going to go just something random. Like I have a random Punisher book I could have got signed by him. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? I get something signed. So, I sell comic books and, stuff like that. So, I could flip that, make a little money back, so it's not as big of an investment, or whatever. And then you get that time where it's like, hey, nice to meet you. I'm a big fan. Even if it's just that, because they have to sign it at least.
Right.
You get some type of real interaction. And a lot of times you can be like, hey, can we get a quick little selfie? And sometimes they even have like, you can pay like an extra $10 to get.
About to say that. Yep.
I'll do it. I mean, why? That's what I did with Kevin Conroy. Like right before he passed, I went to MegaCon 2 years ago, and he had at his booth, it was $20 for a signature or $40 for a signature and a picture. I was like, take my money. Like, what? There was no question
that
there.
Cheap? Shoot, come on.
You know what
now.
I mean? And if it's a little bit extra, just so you can get, and it was like the guy came from behind the booth, grabbed my phone, like took the picture, you know. And
they always got a guy who knows exactly how to like take a good picture for you real quick.
I remember thinking at that time, like, man, they just used my phone. That's kind of like an extra $20 for that. I think I'm gonna get the photo op next year. And now I did the photo op, and I'm like, nope, I was right the first time. Because I paid extra to get the digital too. So I mean, I'm doing basically what I wanted to do, minus a piece of merchandise or something I can cherish and look at. Like that Batman Blu-ray animated series, that will never go. The only time that will ever leave my house ever again is A, if I'm moving, or B, if I'm going to a convention where Mark Hamill is.
Right, to get an additional signature on it.
That is it. That is the only there is no amount of money, because it's to me. Like, he actually is like, hey, you want me to just sign it? He's like, hey, are you trying to sell this? I'm like, no, please. You can dedicate it to me, please. That is definitely mine and will never go anywhere. Like, there is no monetary value on that. And then he died a few months later, and he approved my Joker voice. So I feel validated for the rest of my existence.
Oh, you're
like,
good.
he legitimately was
said,
like,
yeah, that works. Like,
I did a TikTok rant. I was like, okay, and I now have a Kevin Conroy approved Joker voice. I win. I don't care anymore. Like,
you win at life, bro. Like you're
so
good.
Like, and that's like, that's one thing about conventions that make it so much, like, it just changes the whole experience. If you can spend a moment with these people, like, I don't know about you, but like me, Conroy and the Batman animated series, that's a huge part of my childhood. You know, so to meet the guy that said Batman and to do my Joker voice that I've been working on for decades,
because of that cartoon.
And he's like, wow. Because I walked up to him and I was like, hello, Batman. He was like, you know I have to kill you now, right? I was like, I immediately hopped right into Batman. And I was like, oh, come on, Bruce. We're all friends now. We don't have to worry about that. And he was like, that's actually really good. Like, oh my God, like, that is really, he's like, you have to go find Trey Parker and do that voice for him, because he did the Joker in one of the other games. And I never did. So one of my goals over the next few years is to get him at a convention and be like, I have a message from Kevin Conroy. It's 2 years too late, 3 years, whatever it is, and be like, but he told me to do this for you, you know, and like I said, those experiences, like, they're worth more than any comic book. You know what I mean? Like, that's the one thing I kind of learned, you know, during the pandemic, because you saw all those badges I had not gone to a convention until two years ago.
No, I'm the same.
Now I've worked for
correction. I went to my first big convention like 3 years ago, and that was an anime convention. That wasn't even like comic books or anything. That was my brother wanted to go, so I took him.
Right. The first one I went to was a true comic book convention. It was like 80 booths of just comics and like random like kind of like knick-knack stuff, like collectible type.
You always got the vendors there.
And I remember I walked in there and I thought to myself, and this is the happiest day of my life. Like, there's people walking, there's stormtroopers walking around, and like, I'm just like, this is just the how why have I not done this before? You know, and I actually found some ridiculous deals, like, that I had never like thought I got, you know, that Wolverine, I think it's Wolverine 9, the one with the blue cover and him and Mr. Fix-It.
Okay, in
the suits. Yeah. Okay, so I got that there for $20. Mint.
That's not bad.
I was like, holy crap.
At all.
And then I took that to SuperCon the next following year, and got it signed by Chris Claremont.
See, there it is.
Like it's building on each experience, and I conventions. Anyone who hasn't gone to a convention, you got to go at least once. Just see what it's about, because I'm telling you, you might be surprised how much you enjoy it.
Oh, and you'd be surprised at how, like, when you get there and you start actually shopping around and looking at some of the names on things, you'd be surprised at how really small and niche the community actually is when it seems so much bigger at times. But you will
Well,
see, like, perfect example, Comic Tom. Shout out to Comic Tom. He's coming on the show later this summer. But he's got this he's got his comic shop, he's got his mailing list or whatever that he does, his
Right.
website. He's super successful YouTuber. And he has, his exclusive covers that he gets done. You have your exclusive covers that you guys get done for yours. I found one of his exclusive covers at C2E2 in a random dude's shop booth.
Yep.
And I'm just like, how random is that?
Well, and see, he's a great talking point, because Comic Tom is, whether you like him or hate, know who he is. I had an opinion on him for quite some time. And I met him face to face for the first time at MegaCon, when I was talking to Javon Jordan, one of my good friends who's an artist. He does a lot of variant covers and stuff. And I'm talking to him, and he's like, man, people are like, asked me one time, this guy came up and he was like, who do you think you are? He's like, well, I'm Comic Tom. And he was like, who the hell is Comic Tom? And I was like, all right, first of all, you may, if you're in a comic book convention and you claim to know anything about comics, whether you like him or hate him, you are aware of who Comic Tom is.
Because when you first get into comic books within the last, I'd say 5 to 10 years, if you get on YouTube and type in comic books, the first channel that pops up is Comic Tom.
Well, and
as far as YouTube's concerned, as far as I'm concerned, he's the king of comics on YouTube. Like,
and he has the following to back that up. And the one thing about like Comic Tom is, if you don't like his methods, that's one thing, but his methods and who he is and what he's actually trying to do, whether you believe it or not, is probably what you're trying to do as well. Just get more people to be reading comics. And that's my thing. Like, there's a lot of people who, and I'll admit, up until I met him face to face, I was one of these people who kind of like judged what I had seen and heard in the community, and he is not this demon that some people try to make him out to be. Like, and
not at all.
I just don't, because like everyone, they look at him and his association with Whatnot, and then a lot of it stems from the Whatnot stuff, and again, you can have your opinions on the platform or whatever,
but at the end of the day, he doesn't really have control over what they're doing.
he exactly, he's not the platform. He might be the unofficial face of the comics, but again, that it's and my thing is, people complain about those influencers, and okay, if you can make money continuously, would you not?
100%. What do you think?
Like
doing
exactly.
Here?
So a lot of these people who are complaining about the ethics or whatever, well, I think the problem is more with the community than any sellers. Because if, let's say, you think that these people are charging more than they're worth, that's fine, but people are still paying for them.
That's what it is.
So
if you want the market to change, then use your dollar and change the market. Right. That's how it works.
Or use your voice and talk about other possible, like, let's say that you don't like them, try going to this outlet or that outlet. If it's all about the community and growing the community, what a lot of people claim to be about, it seems real easy to just point fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. Well, what are you doing to try to
about
fix
anything
it?
that he's really doing anyway? I mean,
Well,
I know he's like real into the speculation stuff, but at the same time, he's not the one setting those prices. He's just reporting on things he sees. That's all he's doing.
So part of the only there is the tinfoil hat conspiracy theory type stuff that people will say that he manipulates the market, because then an app that he associated with will also say this is the book to get and this is the price, and people just automatically accept it as is. Well, even let's just say, for argument's sake, let's say they're doing that. It's on the community then to decide if that's correct.
If you don't want to pay that, guess what? If
Then
you
don't.
refuse to pay it long enough, they'll drop the prices. And again, at the end of the day, those prices on those books would not exist if people weren't paying them.
Correct. No, exactly.
So
exactly.
all these things that they're saying, oh, they're driving the prices up. Like, no, they're just reporting the prices that are already being paid. That's all they're doing. That's the only value a comic book has, is what people are willing to pay for it.
No, and you know, it's like I said, it's really quick and really easy to just go, well, they're the problem. That's why everything is wrong. I mean, I don't agree with some of the practices of some of the people that would be labeled as influencers, because I do think that they do at times.
There are people out there that do what
use
they're
their power.
About.
Use their power to influence things, and I get that. And even if you think that X, Y, or B are doing it, then why are you mad at them for just continually to do what they're being shown by the community is what they want?
Yeah.
It's not the seller's fault if books are being sold for a lot more than they're worth. It's the people who are buying them. And yes, like I said, there are people who would be like, "Oh, this book is worth $90 when it's really worth $70 or whatever," and do that. I get that. But if you're looking at it, and because people are complaining that, you know, and worried, as I am, that the market is real close to a bubble bursting, because of a lot of the things that are going on, I don't think that it's any seller's fault.
No.
At all. 100%.
Because as sellers, know this, I know this, we go by what the market tells us.
Exactly.
If the market's telling me this book's $200, guess what? I'm charging $200. Exactly. If the market says I can sell something for a certain amount, why in God's green earth would I charge less than that? Now, if I put it up for 200 and it sits there for a year and a half and doesn't sell, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to lower the price. Like,
it's all about supply and demand, and like, it's simple economics that a lot of people just don't seem to understand. And, you know, for lack of a better term, the carelessness, I'll say, of some of the members of the community just to decide to, you know, buy everything up at every high premium because you're assuming that there's going to be a bust and then it'll come back again, like it continues to do. And I understand that. I mean, you can see in the background, I've got literal stacks of comic books that I am basically hoarding, you know, until the day that I can get the maximum value for them. If they are not, like, I have literally one box that is literally mine. That out of all of these,
here's
I
the
also
thing.
have two long boxes.
Whenever that max price is going to happen, you won't know it's the max price because it'll hit that peak and then it'll go down for 10 years.
Yep. Well, I'm like literally, like, my palm is like itching because I have a first appearance of Miles Morales in this closet right here, right behind me. There is a 9.8 Miles Morales first appearance. I'm just like,
and right there by itself, even ungraded, is like a $2,000 book. I've seen people charge that much for it.
And see, and that's the thing. And yes, I would love to get that much for it. But at the same time, like,
is it actually worth that though?
It's not.
If you look it up on all the databases, graded around a 9.6 to a 9.8 is roughly about 32.
Yeah.
3,200 or ish.
And well, see, and that's, you know, when you look at like a lot of these books, it's based off of speculation. Like, so we think there were confirmation that there is a live action Miles Morales in production by I think it was the writer of the Spider-Verse movie. So everyone, again, it's like, oh, we've got to get every Miles Morales book we can find because it's going to be worth $10,000 in the next 10 years because he's going to.
And what happens
Could
when
it?
all that demand starts coming in? The sellers have to start raising their prices because they don't have enough to give everybody.
Well, and because when I heard that, because I actually haven't seen Edge of the Spider-Verse yet. I
Either.
like I said, I was supposed to go to the fancy premiere and I didn't, and then I just like I was actually kind of like so mad that I didn't. I'm not gonna go into this movie angry because I'm just watching it in the XD or you know what I mean. Like, I'm
Right.
gonna give it a second to marinate and then go see it. But so I checked. I'm like, oh, let me see what these are going for. When you randomly check a book like that, there aren't that many usually available on a lot of platforms at one time. But then all of a sudden, like I checked and there was literally like 50 or 60 of them newly listed. I'm just like, damn. Everyone was literally just waiting and waiting to just go, all right, Miles Morales. How many do we have? Load them all now.
Well, and what I've noticed is it's really particular to like certain Marvel characters that this happens to normally. I've noticed that like DC doesn't seem to have this kind of constant speculation going on with their books.
Okay, so part of the reason for that is obviously
The
prior
movies
to Gunn, like all of that was disconnected and wasn't really anything comic book related. It was more just like comic book inspired by, like, I mean, there is very little versions of the Arrow who are like the Arrow in the TV show. That's Batman with a bow and arrow. Okay,
100%.
like
as
like
much
show.
as we all like that.
I'm not making fun. I'm just saying, where is the joke? Where is the Green Arrow that is making jokes that make even Batman laugh? Where's the Green Arrow making the hottest chili in the universe? Like that's
where's the Green Arrow getting beat up by his wife during training? Like, come on.
like that's the Green Arrow I know and love. But I think part of the reason it was all separate and there was no one cared to speculate for DC because they didn't see it as where in Marvel side they have this long-term plan that has been happening for all these years. And I feel we're going to get something, a DC boom coming up after the first round of the Gunn universe.
I was gonna say, because the first few shows and movies are not the major characters yet.
And that's why I think that once they see what he can do with these Guardians of the Galaxy, I mean, unknown characters or lesser known characters, and make them household and just like, you want to root for a tiny raccoon that has an attitude. You want to root for a tree that says one phrase. Like,
but
these
means
are
everything.
these are the characters that by no means should work. James Gunn takes those characters and makes them work. He made Javelin work.
Yeah.
Sorry. He made Weasel work. I have nothing but hope for this.
That James Gunn knows what he's doing. I don't know what does. Like
he took Weasel. No, oh my God. What about the detachable kid? I mean, like, if you look at these characters that he took and made work for no reason other than to go, watch this. Right. I feel like Gunn was in the room, was like, all right, so I've got the Suicide Squad.
Oh, are we?
Give me the. I know I'm doing Polka Dot Man. Polka Dot Man, I'm going to make him the greatest character ever. What? Watch me. All right, let's see. Let's do Weasel. Are you kidding? Trust me on this. Like, and he's just picking the most obscure characters and go, I'm going to make these things amazing. And like,
I can't wait to see
I think that's exactly. Well, there's only one correct casting for Booster Gold, right? Joel McHale.
Ooh.
From Community.
Ooh.
Talk about a perfect casting. The character that he played on Community is basically the same type of person that Booster Gold is. You give him the time travel tech and put him in a super suit, and you have Booster Gold.
I feel like that show or movie, if whatever it ends up being, is going to end up being meta as hell, dude.
Oh, for sure. And
Like,
he would be perfect. Like, and so like that, or like The Authority.
oh,
They're like, The Authority is cool as hell, but I don't know how the heck you're gonna make that a entertaining movie. You know what I mean? Like,
mm-hmm.
I like reading a comic versus watching a comic movie. They're two separate things. You know, like not every great comic book can be a good movie or adaptation. It's just that's just not how it works. You know, is it possible? Yeah, but the thing about comics is, and I say this all the time, it's the most malleable form of entertainment you can find because it can tell any story in just about any art style, in any language, in anything, and it work. You cannot do that in film.
No.
You know, you just can't. So not every great comic book deserves an adaptation, or not every great comic book can be a great adaptation, you know, and that's part of the thing, you know. I think maybe I don't get mad at the speculators as much because I speculate and I've been damn right and it's done me very well. So I can't really point a finger whilst sitting in my glass house.
Right.
So I mean, it's just not something I'm many things, but a hypocrite is not one of them. But I it's
It's
tough
the bad
because
actors. It's like any other industry. You've got
right.
your people that genuinely just want to be in the industry and help move it forward. And then you've got people who want to exploit it for every dollar they can.
And no matter what industry,
Mhm.
always happen. So that's the thing that I think a lot of people forget when they're in some of these fandoms, that it's just like not only are these people influencers and you can have your opinions about them or whatever, but you got to realize they're humans as well. Like they see they
Mhm.
may not see everything, but they genuinely know the opinion of people around them. You know, like whether or not they've read every mean comment you've ever made or whatever, I obviously they probably haven't, but they understand where a lot of people are like feeling about them. And like I said, when I talked to Comic Tom, man, I talked to him and, and genuinely was like, man, like we're doing the same thing. We want just more people in comic books, and you know, where it's like no matter what, you're still a person and I appreciate you. And like when we were talking, like it just you could see on his face that it was just like, oh my God, this is not someone coming up and wanting to be like, F you, Comic Tom. You know what I mean? It's someone who's genuinely trying to talk to me as a human being. You
Right.
know, like and it kind of shook me a little bit.
Well, and
You know,
one thing I've noticed with a lot of people is like meeting a bunch of content creators in person recently, you can tell who's the same on camera and who's
Mhm.
different immediately.
Yep.
And Comic Tom is not one of those people who's different. That's the
Right.
thing. The
Nope.
high energy that everybody sees on his YouTube, that's him. That's just
Yeah.
how he is, literally.
Exactly. Well, and you know, it's funny. Year of the collector just stopped in, and he said this. He said that about me. He was like, "Yeah, you're the exact same person that I've like seen in all the videos. This is not an act. It's not. This is me. I'm just a crazy nerd who has a lot of voices in my head. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, like that was one of the highlights of MegaCon for me. Actually meeting Year and it was like the way like it's when people you respect come in and like when you meet people you respect and that mutual respect can just be felt like
Year, we love you, man.
it's Aw. And yeah, because I literally actually like right before I met Year for the first time in person, that's when I was talking to Comic Tom, and then like shortly
Mhm.
after I had missed my Ahsoka Tano photo op. Like you can ask Year, like the
And I
look
think
on
I
my
even
face.
messaged you, like, if you run into Comic Tom, he's a nice dude because I had just interviewed him like 2
Yep.
months prior to MegaCon.
No, and you know and that's the thing about the whole we're people talk about all the time about how it's a comic book community. Why are we trying to hurt that community. Whether or not you think it's justified to, you know, say this creator did this or this creator did that or whatever, you know, why don't we as a community build each other up like we did a few years ago when all we had was us? You know what I mean?
Like what? Like seriously,
I'm
whatever
sorry, I'm
happened
laughing
to
at his
people
comment.
being like, you know, hey, dude, your video was great. Like, you know, like people being supportive of one another on TikTok
Well,
or whatever the platform is. That just seemed
well,
to stop after everyone's
be,
lockdowns ended. Like,
because and I can tell you why. It's because a lot of people went from being just fans to stepping into the ring. And it's a lot harder for people to give praise where it's due or not. Let's
right.
take the that criteria out of it. It's much easier to say something negative than to say something positive. And a lot of people go, if I can cut that person down, that's my spot I can take. Instead of let's build together like the Nerd Initiative and the crossover comics community, like we've all been doing, because there's a lot of like-minded people who were like, something's wrong here. We need to join together. And that's kind of what happened with both these communities, because we all saw that there were a lot of people that were just like making it not fun anymore, you know, and we kind of just became our own little communities with that's now housed in the comic community, where we can just enjoy each other's, you know, content and enjoy, you know, the fact that we can do this. Like I don't understand. People seem to forget that we get to talk about comic books on the internet now. What do you guys? I mean, maybe you don't remember. You might not be old enough to even remember this, but a few years. I'm going to show my age here. Back in my day,
right,
we used to get made fun of and thrown into lockers because we like Star Wars and comic books.
Oh,
listen
God
to
forbid.
me.
You could get away with Star Wars once in a while at certain schools. You could get away with comic books even at certain places. But as soon as you said Star Trek or Lord of the Rings, it was done with.
Yep. And people like there's a lot of people that get mad at that Star Wars content now. We talked about this on the Crossover Comics podcast. How are you mad that we have Star Wars content? Like,
we went through
multiple
decade-long periods of time where there was no Star Wars content at all.
And we get all of the, you know, we didn't even talk about the
movies,
comics
20-year
that much.
gap. We got the next 3 movies, like 10-year gap. You know, like
years that made fun of, targeted, mockery, bullying. That was all how we like the things we loved. Instead of being at conventions, being, you know, talking to people like have the same interests on the internet, like we were all kind of just the outcast for the longest time. And now that we're all in the spotlight, listen, everyone, there's enough internet to go around. Okay.
Oh,
like let's get it straight now. Like,
a follower for you does not mean a minus follower for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it shouldn't be like it should not be a competition. Once we start competing with each other, it's not fun anymore.
Well, and that's part of the reason why, you know, I've had a lot of issues in the past year, because I look at some of these creators going, man, I think I'm better than them. I'm funnier than them. I'm this, that, or the other, and I can't, you know, get the same traction. And you know, sometimes it's hard for me to even do live streams, you know, because I'm just in my own head going, man, like this community, what if I go on there and I get booed off the stage? You know, it comes back to like my performing, you know, I did, you know, stand-up comedy, like, you know, it's like you're gonna get booed off the stage. Well, it's gonna happen. Like, only thing you can do, and this, I'm starting to find, you know, all this Zen crap, you know, I'm starting to, you know, if you focus on what you're doing, you know, and focus on getting what, if you put your best self out there,
and other
at
people
least
will
you'll know, right? At least, even if he doesn't succeed, you know, getting all the praise and all the whatever you want, at least you know that you did all you could. No, not everyone can make it. You know, that's another thing. Like, and some people go, if I stop him, that I can make. It doesn't work like that. I mean,
You could make the exact same video as this guy with 100 million followers, but you're not him.
Well, I mean,
There's a
I've
billion other
accurately
things that went
predicted.
into factor that person blew up. You know what I'm saying? Other than
Yeah.
what kind of videos they're doing or whatever the hell. It shouldn't be about. I have this conversation with people all the time, especially people who are just getting into making videos and stuff. I tell them, like, do not pay attention to your follower count, because at the end of the day, it matters very little.
Yep.
I don't have a huge following, but the quality of what I'm able to do and how I'm able to conduct myself and speak with people, that matters way more.
Yeah.
Especially in business. If you can't talk to people and actually be a decent freaking human being, nobody's going to want to work with you no matter how many followers you have.
Right. Well, and it's tough because, you look at some of these creators who really want to, burst out onto the scene. So what they do is they make these gotcha posts or these like it purposely incorrect things to just spark these like the debate. I'd follow these two gents blindly. But
I don't know if that's your best idea year, but we appreciate you. We appreciate the loyalty here at the Comic Press Podcast.
Well, actually, you know what? Actually, I'm going to go ahead and say, year, I actually hope you wouldn't do that. I would hope that you respect me enough that if I say something wrong or something outlandish or something that isn't correct, that you will call me on it. I would hope that you would be like, "Excuse me, sir, that is incorrect," and proceed to just berate me with the facts. That's all. I will learn.
This is how we learn.
Ta-da!
Us dumb kids, you gotta tell us.
Some of us are visual learners,
30s, but you know how it is. It is what
Ow.
it is.
Ow. My back reminds me enough of how old I am. You don't have to do it for me.
Hey, I got a birthday in 10 days. Trust me. 8 days.
How young will you be?
I will be. We're gonna go with 22. I missed 22. No, 33.
Because my mom for the I think 20th year in a row is 35 this year. No, that's the running joke that I was like, this year I'm gonna be older than her. Because I'm 36.
No, I had a grandma like that. She was 28 until she was 75. So I mean,
oh, that just hurt. I said my own age and hurt myself. Ow. I'll be 36. Ow.
Yeah, I'll be 33 on the 12th. So.
Oh man, but yeah, it's a great time to be a nerd, though. I mean, it's like I've been a nerd my entire life, and to now have like to the point where my mom, who does a lot of like investments and stuff, like she's get to the point where she's like, all right, so what's your return on this book? What did you make on this? And I'll tell her and be like, that's a 45 to 50%. I can't get that with stocks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, can't either. That's why I do this.
It's weird. Like when you start looking up the numbers, comic books is one of the very few things in any kind of collector's market that consistently stays at a level like.
Well,
what's the word I'm looking for?
Because I think the word you're looking for is maintains a plateau. Maybe would be a valid.
Yeah, the market doesn't completely tank and it never blows the hell up. It's always just right there.
So the reason why I think that is because unlike most other collectibles, these things have history, but you can actually see the history by opening the pages. Like you get an old baseball card, it's just the card.
Yeah.
You can't know what happened that made that card worth it unless you know.
Thank you, Year. That's the term I was looking for. Jesus. It's been a long week, ladies and gentlemen.
Both of us like, hold on. It's been. I have my old man glasses, blue light protecting glasses on because it's been such a long week. Okay. But the difference between comic books and any other type of memorabilia, you can know nothing about it and pick it up and read it.
Yeah.
Versus, if you get like a card or like a pop or a figure, you can't then try to figure out its value just by looking at it. You have to go research it. You can pick up, like, for instance, like, I would hope no one would ever do this, but if you do, be careful. It'd be like picking up first appearance of Superman. It's not just holding it. If you read it, you could literally. I see. That's why I said. So, JJ, before you freak out, that's why I said I would hope no one would do this. But I mean, someone might find one in a freaking back room somewhere.
And if you don't know, you don't know.
But so, like, in that regard, it's you can freaking a million years later, human race could be gone, and
Superman
another race.
Here.
Exactly. Well, until the sun explodes. That's a whole nother story for another day.
I feel like when that happens, it's just going to burn a Superman emblem into the sky for all the other planets to see.
And then there'll be an actual Kryptonian go, that's not how you spell hope.
Right. They got it wrong. That would be our luck, wouldn't it? Find out Kryptonians actually exist and we've gotten their logo wrong the entire time.
Oh my God. That would be the great. I would be, my whole life would be validated at that point.
That would be just such a human thing to have happen, right?
Superman actually comes down, it's an X.
Right.
What is that? That's not hope. That's anger. What are you doing?
Green, purple, with pink polka dots.
He's actually polka dot man.
Right.
But no, I mean, I think that's the difference, is that comics, for better or worse, they are that as long as the item is intact, you can always reread it if you're brave enough.
And you want to crack some of them slabs, because some of them older books, man, I don't even know if raw copies exists anymore.
Well, and this brings up an interesting topic. If you're never going to sell it, what does it matter?
Yeah.
What does the value,
if it's just
or what does the condition matter? If it's something that you'll always have and you're not going to sell it, what does it matter? It shouldn't. And that's the day old question. Like, for me, is I've got some books that I keep because I'm playing the comic market, going, all right, one of these days I'm going to be able to do this. But there are some books that aren't worth a lot, and some that are worth a lot that will never leave my possession, unless I the worst happens, and I have to sell it.
Yeah.
Right. So what does the value really matter to certain when you're talking about your collection? Because that's one thing I hear. But well, my collection's valued at $200,000.
And see, I don't care what your collection's valued at. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? It's impressive.
Good for you.
And I'd be down to look at it and like look at your collection and admire your collection. Make some videos. I'll watch them. But I've got a $250 comic. Well, it's probably actually worth more than that because I looked it up raw. I did not look it up the value of it slabbed because it was a gift. But first appearance of Hobgoblin. That's $200, $300 book. I could sell it right now, probably overprice it at like $450 and still make money on it. But it was a gift, and plus it's my favorite villain. I don't want to get rid of that book. I wanted that book. That was one of my Grail books. That's mine.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well,
the slab could crack, and I would not care because I just wanted the book.
See, my OCD. I understand where you're coming from 100%, but if the slab cracked, my OCD would freak out.
If the slab cracks, I'm taking it out of the slab and I'm putting it in a different frame or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'll screw my OCD up. No, cracking it. But
it's, and I think we have to tread carefully. There's a lot of us who are, trying to just better the community, trying to get everything do everything positive as we can.
Oh yeah, no, that's not hating on anybody who wants to collect for the value of the books. I respect it. I know a lot of people that do it, but don't be a dick about it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, because at the end of the day, not a lot of people care how much your stuff's worth, man.
Don't be a Darren.
Yes.
See, and I that was one of the things I hated the most about that movie, the excessive use of the Darren jokes. But now that it's come full circle and I get to use it,
It
I think I'm
works.
okay with them now.
It works.
I think I'm okay with it now. The little tiny animated tushy is fine, you know. Like,
We've gotten
it's
worse
okay.
things in the world before, so I mean,
Yeah, that's another that first Hulk movie.
oh god, it's a
With
whole other
Banner?
podcast, man.
Well, for the record, I'm in on the Hulk debate podcast. Like, if you're talking about if you want to like compare and contrast the Hulk movies,
We'd have to get
or the Hulk
we'd have to
TV
get our
show,
buddy
Hulk
Loco in
movies.
for that one. He's the resident Hulk expert, so we'd have to get him in for that.
Man, he's the Hercules expert. I don't know if he's
Hercules
the
and Hulk,
if
because
he's
he
the
got me
Hulk expert.
further into both characters. So
I'm just trying to goat him a little bit and just to hope that it creates some content. What did he say? I'm not a Hulk.
oh,
Come
we
on,
have
Loco,
we
step
have a
into my
question
web.
from the Peanut Gallery.
Least favorite comic book movie. So it's easier to answer the worst because worst versus favorite are is a different debate. Let's see. I would say that the one I it'd be a toss up between Wolverine Origins or the most recent X-Men movie. The third, the Dark Phoenix one that they just did. The X3 is garbage as well. Like, I have no problem. Like, I like a lot of bad movies. Like Green Lantern, for instance, is a horrible movie, but I love it. Like, I have no problem, and I will never say that it's a good movie. Like, and I'm biased, and I know that because I love Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds can literally sit in a room just drinking tea for 4 hours straight, and I would watch it and be so thoroughly entertained that I wouldn't need anything else. So you put him in a horribly CGI green suit and let him be Hal Jordan for a little bit. I'm okay. And they had, and like, I look at like movies, if I can find something good about then it, like, for instance, they wasted two of the greatest castings in comic book history. When Sinestro, I can't think of his name, the guy that was in that was the bad guy in the first Shazam movie. I'm drawing a blank at his name.
I know who you're talking about, though. I can't.
But perfect casting, absolutely perfect casting for Sinestro, and then Kilowog with the Michael Clark Duncan, rest in peace. No one could have done that voice better. Like, that was perfect. So, and like, you go back to Star Wars. I mean, I hate Phantom Menace as a movie in general, but I will watch it and enjoy it because I know Duel of the Fates is coming. You know what I mean? Like I can suffer through any of the horrible dialogue and some of the bad stuff because I know that John Williams is about to set fire to the air.
My least favorite superhero movie, dude, is honestly also my favorite superhero movie, if that makes any sense. And that is
okay.
And that George Clooney. Can you guess where I'm going with
Batman
this?
and Robin?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a guilty pleasure movie.
Strong,
it's a movie that is so bad and so over the top cheesy that it's perfect.
Well, see, and that's how I feel about the Green Lantern. Like, it's while you look at it, and you can see that they were cheesy and over the top and all of that, but you can enjoy it. Like, there's something to be said about the Bat card.
Oh, dude, the Bat card's great.
You know what I mean?
It's
like that whole like I mean, don't leave home without it. Like like there's when it comes to like bad movies, if you can find something that you enjoy, like then is it really bad? I mean, if you can talk about its quality in terms of cinematography and all that stuff, but if you're not watching it to critique it, then what is it like? Like, I love the Expendables because the Expendables movies are exactly what they're billed to be. This is an over-the-top action movie that is going to be cheesy and have all of your favorite action heroes doing insanely crazy stuff.
And it's going to make no sense.
no sense, but you're just gonna sit there and watch the bang bang boom boom and the occasional line from your childhood. Thank you. That's all I want. Like, you know what I mean?
Once in a while, I don't want a big drama-filled psychological, brain exercise. Once in a while, I just want some mindless, gratuitous violence.
It doesn't have to be an Oscar-worthy performance to be entertaining.
Not at all.
And I think as the content creators, a lot of us, and I'm guilty of it sometimes too, kind of forget that this is entertainment. And yes, we've made what profession or hobby, whatever you want. Some people it's a hobby, some people it's profession, whatever. Out of doing these
kind of
things,
falls in between somewhere.
Right?
we do it enough for it to be a profession, but it's not paying the bills yet. You know what I'm saying?
One day maybe. But yeah, I just keep coming back to the fact that just be happy that the nerds won. Like
look at how much content we have to talk about. The fact we can even complain about stuff says that we have enough to complain about.
Yeah.
I mean, name another time in history there was 5 different Star Trek shows going on at once. I'll wait. Even if Star Trek's not your thing, you have to be happy
here for a while.
Star Trek fans. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
If you don't like Star Wars, how can you not be happy for Star Wars fans? Just because they have so much stuff now.
And not everything
Even
is
Harry
perfect.
Potter fans are going to start getting more stuff now, which is awesome.
Be careful. You can't say Harry Potter anymore.
You can separate art from the artist.
See, and that's the world.
I am a firm believer in that.
This is the world we live in, where like we can be talking about just that, and somebody could go, "Oh, they said Harry Potter. Oh, they must support them." And again, let's just
and then if you go and watch any of our content, you'll know that's not the fucking case at all. So that's my one I get.
I think that's my job now on any podcast I ever go to. I am the F-bomb tracker. We've got one. But yeah, it's just a great time to be a nerd, and I wish that more people can just enjoy the time instead of trying to compete for airspace.
Yeah, because if they're not competing for airspace, all they're doing is talking crap about everything that comes out so they can get more views. And it's like, dude, eventually people are gonna get sick of only seeing your negativity. Like,
will they? See that? Like, I used to think that too. Like, I used to think that too. But there are literally people who that's all they do is get on and talk crap about something, even if it's wrong. Like, they'll outlandishly say wrong things just because they have a platform and can get away with it. So and again, to each their own. I wouldn't be able to do that myself, because I may do a video like that once in a blue moon on purpose. We're going to be like, I'm going to have fun with this one, and then the caption, this is a joke. Like,
right,
there are
100%,
people who are like, who
satire,
yeah, nah. And it's just, let's just all enjoy the fact that the nerds won and
because now it's cool to be a nerd.
If we all come together as a community and all of our fandoms, do you have any idea the good we can do in this world?
100%. Just look at all the lessons that all of our fandoms teach us all the time. It's always positive
Best
messages.
teacher it is. Yes.
Why you're not doing more voice acting, I don't understand.
Because I have too many things I'm doing. My issue is I'm gonna have to start paying someone to just be on my ass to do things and like to put out like I pay someone to
you need an assistant.
Anything I need an assistant. Hey, find me a voice acting job. Just go. Just tell me what I need to say, where and when, and I'll do it.
Book
go.
It, I'll do it.
Right. And I'm not successful enough to warrant one of those yet, so it's a double-edged sword,
Damn, that'd be really nice to have, but I cannot afford that right now. Oh man,
man.
So I don't want to keep you all night. It is a Sunday night. We do have usually about an hour show. So is there anything else you want to plug before we get out of here, man?
One thing I wouldn't mind plugging is my World Tree exclusive. This is World Tree #1. It is an Alan Qua Virgin, limited to 333. It's available on my link tree through my shop, and all of my other social medias. It's just a gorgeous cover by my good friend Alan Qua. So year has one. Year has one that's actually signed. I signed the back of it for you. He's like, I want
Nice.
I want you to sign the back. I'm like, oh, okay. I think it'll lower the value at this point. I mean, maybe if my comic book takes off, maybe it might be worth something down the line. But right now, you just knocked off a couple dollars of your comic,
right? But hey, you know what? I got one that I want Comic Tom to sign, and he had nothing to do with it other than it was an exclusive variant from his shop. But I think it'd just be cool to have him sign it.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. I say this all the time. It's about what the consumer wants.
Yeah.
If you're selling something, if you're like, I'm an exclusive retailer, I sell exclusives. If you like it, it doesn't matter. What the community wants is what matters. And if someone who's gonna pay me for something I did, or something that they want, I'm gonna facilitate. If I can make it happen, I will.
100%.
And that's something that I wish more people, would do. I think it'd be make the whole community a little bit better.
And speaking of community, if you guys want to get more involved, go over to nerdinitiative.com. We do have a new sign up page now under the contact us page. You can sign up for the newsletter once a month. You will get it directly to your email inbox. It'll keep you up to date on all our newest shows, all our new upcoming convention appearances, articles, you name it, it'll be on there. If you want to follow me, go right ahead. It is at JJ's_comic_stuff everywhere on social media. Make sure this coming Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to check out Fandoms right here on the Nerd Initiative Network YouTube channel, as well as, I believe, Monday, a new episode of Memory Card, our new video game related show, will be airing as well. But other than that, my name is JJ. This is Nerdtooine. And as always, guys, please be safe, be kind.